Alright, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the question 1A of the AP Computer Science A free response question from the year 2016. Alright, so pretty much the question, well more like the task, is to write the entire random string chooser class. And what this class does is that we have an array. In the main method we have an array. And then once we instantiate an object of a random string chooser, right, then it should provide a random string when you access the getNext method. And if there are no strings left in the array, because it won't repeat any of the arrays that it won't repeat any of the elements that it printed or returned, then it's going to print none. So I feel like the best way of tackling this would be implementing ArrayList. So you don't have to do this on the AP exam, but I'm doing this here because it's a compiler. But you're gonna have to use the import array. You have to use the import ArrayList method. All right. So now let me set up my program. Public class random string chooser. All right. So our private variable will be private data will be the array list. That's where all the values that we'll be storing from the user. Private string user word array is equal to new array list. That's how you create an array list that's going to be filled up with string values. Alright, before we provide the getNext method, we have to provide a constructor, and this constructor is going to be public. That way the other programs can instantiate an object from it, and it's going to take in the argument. It's going to take in the argument of a string array. So public. Sorry that my typing is a little bit off today. It's going to have a string array. You know what, let's call it E, because I feel like it. And guess what, I still spelled public wrong. Let's provide the end brace. Alright, so it's giving us an array, but we want to convert this into an array list. We can use a regular for loop, but that's for losers, or in a different situation. Alright, so we're just going to use the enhanced for loop, and we're gonna it's gonna be taking a string. We're gonna have a temporary value, and we're gonna use the semicolon, and it's gonna iterate until every element has been picked. I'm only doing this so that my program is more organized. Alright, so this is how easy it is to add an element to an array list. Word array dot add and val. There you go. So there's the add method of the array list class, and it's going to be adding the value that is coming from the word array, the array that the user is providing to fill up this array list. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Anyway, once that executes, right, it's going to provide all the variables or all the string values for the array list. Now we're going to have to create the getNext method, and it's going to be returning a string. Public string getNext public string getNext. Alright, so public is the access identifier, string is what we're going to be returning, and the getNext is obviously the name of the method. So you can technically do this in 1 or 2 lines, but I'm going to do it in more like 4 to 5 lines, because it's more simpler to comprehend that way. So let's say if the word array dot size, this checks how many elements are in the array list. So if it does not equal 0, which means that there are no elements at all, in the array, then it's going to return none, because there are no valuables. Oof. I hate programming with a mechanical keyboard. Alright, so else, we're going to first have to find a random index, just a random sort of position of the array list that it's going to get. So we're going to do int index. Now we're going to set that equal to math.random. Now if you remember what this class does, or what this method does, the random method class, right? Random method, what it does is that it picks a number between 0.1 to 1, and then you have to multiply that by the size, because that's how many elements are in the array. So word array dot size. Now size is another method, so you're going to use double parentheses. Now we also want to convert this into an integer, so int, let me also do this to make it more comprehensible. Alright, now we're going to have a temporary value, not really temporarily, I mean it is temporary, but we also have to delete the element later. So string temporary, this is going to be the array, this is the element that we're going to return to the user. So word array dot get, this is another method of the array class, or array list class, and it takes in a integer and finds it within the array. And then we have to remove it from the array list, so we're gonna have to use the remove method of the array list class. So word array, let me remove the list. Alright, so word array, again that's our array list, the remove class, and it's taking in this input, the index of what we're going to be removing, but also what we're going to be returning, and then we're going to put return temp. Alright, I think that's all we need to do. So let's test this out. Alright, so I have this demo class, string chooser demo, and it has a main method, so it's going to be executable. Just remember that the main method is not really tested. It's not really tested on the AP exam. More blueprints for programs are tested on the AP exam. So I have this string array, right? Fazan is very cool, which is true, but it's not really the point of this video. We instantiate a random string chooser, and we're going to call it random stuff, which is equal to new. This actually reserves the memory and actually makes the object. Remember, if we just declare, right, it's not really making the object, it's just reserving memory for it. New random string chooser, and we have our word array from here. We also have this loop, right? Now to test out if the none actually works, anyway, to test out if it actually works, right? We have 4 elements here, and we are looping this 8 times. So let's see what happens. Alright, so, oh yeah, what I forgot to do, I mean, again, this is another advantage of the AP exam, is that you're going to have to compile, make sure you save it too. Oh, alright, so another advantage of using the compiler, at least, is that you can check for whether or not if something doesn't work or not. So we have this. Now remember, spelling isn't necessarily checked on the AP exam. It's more about the concept. And once you get the concept down, you can get the full points. The actual spelling of it doesn't really matter. All right. Luckily, I checked that, or this wouldn't have worked, and then I would have been very embarrassed. All right, compile, and let's run it. You look at that. So the loop runs 8 times, being that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements, right? But there's only 4 elements in my word array, so it prints all of them out, right? And once there's no elements left, it prints out none. Alright, that's how you do question 1A. Next time we'll be doing question 1B.